Hello everyone, my name is Denis Asamoah and I'm excited to have Abdul Abdullah on today's podcast, FORVR Founders, which is a series where we interview founders that are doing amazing things, where we dig into their journey, their stories, and their challenges, their success, their tools, their tips in order to be great entrepreneurs. Today we have Abdul Abdullah, who is the co-founder of AfroFuture, that's what I should call it. I know most people will be aware of it as called AfroCella, but AfroFuture, because that is the future. Africa is the future. I'm excited to speak to you. You do amazing things, brother. Like, you do multiple things. I know you are the Ghana ambassador of tourism. You have your own restaurant. You've done amazing collabs. I can't wait to dig into the questions I have with you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate you having me on this podcast. I'm a big fan of the candles, so I'm looking forward to talking to you about this. Yeah.
Sure. Amazing. Let's just jump straight into it because your journey is so fascinating. I know as the big success is AfroFuture, but when you look back at your journey, like where it all began, it didn't just happen overnight. You started doing events when you was in New York. I know you're a Bronx guy.
Yeah.
And that's where it started with a group of friends. Can we talk about the beginning and how you got your experience in doing events?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it goes even further back. When we was young, we had a group called Real Rich Entertainment. And it was a group of friends that we just grew up together. We went to school together. We hung out all the time. And, we wanted to throw parties, but we didn't want to throw parties like, our uncles did before in the Bronx. We wanted to throw parties in Manhattan, which is pretty ambitious, right? For us coming from the Bronx, in those times, people didn't really go out to Manhattan like that if you're from the Bronx. It wasn't a thing when I was younger. So us wanting to throw a party out there was a pretty big deal for us back then. And we were able to do that. We were able to throw a party in Manhattan, all the way downtown near Soho. And it were, very good parties. And I remember how exhilarating that felt for me. But at the time, it was just for fun. It was just fun to do it with my friends and be able to be out there and be popular and, big up our little group that, Real Rich Entertainment. That's what it was for. And then it became a little bit more structured when I got to college, because then I learned about budgets. Then I learned about the impact. Then I learned about the storytelling component. And that just kind of allowed me to just kind of grow in it and identify the areas of, event planning and project management that I enjoyed.
Amazing. And let's just fast track to 2015. I believe that was the year where you did your first event in Ghana, your first big event prior to AfroCella. You had something called Beach Day Jam. I don't know if I've got that correct, where you held your first event on the beach in Ghana. Because that was amazing when I found out. That's interesting that you didn't just start with AfroCella. It was like it was work behind the scenes before that.
Absolutely.
You want to talk about that?
We started an organization, myself, Kenny, and a few other of our boys, called Big 5 Entertainment. And our idea was that, we would always come to Ghana and everybody would be from the UK. And we were just tired of people going around in it, all of that. And we wanted to, try and see how we could bring more of our friends from the United States here. And at the time, Kenny was managing, a news center, and he had thrown a very big party during Easter. So we thought we could replicate it in December. It was December 26th, and it was funny because it's Boxing Day, obviously. And it was at Shining Beach, and, the event didn't do well at all. It really was, it was a flop. You could call it a flop. But for me, the way I'm wired, I always thought of those kind of flops as opportunities. What I saw from that event was that, there were a lot of young rising talent that just had an opportunity. If they had given the opportunity and the proper platform, they would, they would shine. And I knew that, we didn't really put enough effort into the event. There was no structure around it. It really had no story. It was just to event. And for me, it's not as meaningful if it doesn't have a meaning, right? And those kind of planted the seeds what will become AfroCella at the time, because it just gave us an opportunity to see, look at all these amazing people that are in town that are doing amazing things outside of Ghana. Imagine if we can create a space where they can all just kind of interact and build with each other. And that's what we created. And I knew that, there were thousands of parties in Ghana. There've always been thousands of parties in Ghana. So throwing another party just wouldn't wouldn't, give the impact that we wanted to give. So I knew it had to be a festival. And, it was now just about convincing my partners to do that. And Kenny was just like immediately on board. And, we started to recruit the team. And we began planning something we had never done before. We had all done concerts. We had all done parties. But we had never, ever in our lives done festivals. And we had I didn't even know what I needed to hire, who I needed to hire first. But I knew I wanted to do it.
So my first question is, I know you said it was a flop, but that could have been disheartening. Like, you go to your event, you might only see a few people, 5 people that show up, wherever the number is, and it be disheartening. Like, what gave you the motivation and belief that, this can still happen? Because I see a lot of entrepreneurs, when they start something, they expect instant success. And with you, like you said, you didn't see that, but you and the team still felt like this is what we need to do and this is going to work one day.
Yeah, I mean, I just felt like, one, we didn't put in the work in 2015 to see that event be successful. It was like a plug and play opportunity for us. We thought it was a quick flip, and I think that's one of the biggest lessons in hindsight that I'm seeing, is that people just think it's it's popcorn. You could just pop it in the microwave and then it just opens up. Yeah. I realized we didn't put in the work to kind of have a successful event. That was one. We didn't really understand. We didn't do the research to really have an understanding of what was going down. And we really had no real meaning behind what we were trying to do in that first event.
I love that.
And as soon as we can, and that and for me, I found meaning in just seeing those amazing, aspiring talents killing it. I'm like, oh, this is what we need to be doing. This is, this is where we need to look. Like, there's talent here. And, that in addition to just kind of experiencing things on my own while I was in Ghana about like, wow, I didn't know this was happening. Most people, when you live abroad before, Twitter was so accessible and Instagram and all of these things where conversations are happening in real time, we used to think if you're living abroad that, I'm just going to bring this to Ghana, or I'm going to bring this to Ghana. I'm going to put them on to this. We used to have that complex. And, I'm not shy to say I used to have that complex as well. And, it just I learned a lot by just being there and realizing, look, these people already have this. What can you do to support that? What can you do to add on to that? What can you do to add on to that? And I think that took the experience of feeling in the beginning and not really, and showing that when you do something that's empty-hearted, you probably are going to get results that are empty as well. And once we started kind of putting meaning behind what we were trying to do and having a real understanding of what we should do, it just was like easier to flow.
As you were speaking, there was 2 words that came to my mind that amplifies what you stand for and what you do. Is one, self-awareness. I think that was very clear. That, as you said, some people don't want to admit that they didn't put in the work. Some people will be like, it's a flop, and you give up and then blame other people. The fact that you were self-aware and said, look, we could do better, and this is what we need to do. Number 2, you had purpose. You're not just doing something for the sake of doing it, because when you have purpose, when things get tough, you're going to continue going, but you know what the end result is and what you're trying to achieve. And it's bigger than you, as you said, like you're trying to make a big difference and impact in the economy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So let's jump straight into 2019, the year of the return. The year I actually came Ghana, and I actually, did we meet before then? I think I
met you guys in 2018.
Yeah, I think we met you before in New York. Yeah. Me and Jack, we met you in New York. It was like a concert. I can't remember. It was a comedy show or something. If you remember,
it might have been Mr. Easy's concert.
Yes. And then 2019 comes and we go Ghana, and it was the best experience. And thank you for being an amazing host and showing so much love and support. And that was a great event. It was at a stadium. Talking about that experience, like, what did you love about that moment, the year of return? That was a huge moment for Ghana in particular, and also bridging the gap between the diaspora. What would you say is like one of the key memories there where you're like, okay, this was amazing?
Yeah. At that point in the journey, like, I hadn't gotten the opportunity to experience everything everybody else was experiencing. So I was experiencing the festival through feedback, through how people's testimonials, to how people reacted towards me about the festival, because I was so close to everything that I wasn't able to kind of experience it myself. I knew what I was planning. I knew we was executing on the things we were planning, but I was so close to it that I couldn't really understand it until through other. I only could understand it through other people's eyes because I didn't experience it myself. But it was, in hindsight, just kind of looking at it, it was probably one of the biggest migrations back to Africa for Black people ever, right? You know, Ghana went from about 250,000 people visiting to over 1 million people visiting. That in itself is amazing, right? To just kind of see how many people came back home. And for it to feel as, it felt, you know, in America, a lot of families do family reunions. It felt like a family reunion, but you didn't really know anybody. You just got an opportunity to meet everybody for the first time and understand that, well, you know, we probably don't all know each other's stories, but this is home. This is right now what we're considering home. And you know, one of our boys coined this home for the holidays, and really that's what it felt like in that December period. And it has felt that way for years, right? But in that 2019 was especially special because it really changed so many people's lives and perspectives on Africa in general.
Yeah.
It was a turning moment. I think one day, you know, in the future when we're very old, we'll remind people that we was in Ghana during this period of Renaissance, because I think that was the pivotal starting point for what the future of Africa is going to look like for the next couple of years. Amazing.
And is there like any particular misconception of Ghana or Africa in general when you like before? Obviously, a lot of things have changed over the years, but is there something that you still like, for you personally, you're like, okay, I want to change this perception. It's still there and I want to change that?
Yeah, I mean, one of the main things that we saw as an opportunity when we decided to even pursue doing business in Africa or starting this festival was that we needed to be able to build trust between industry, between people, so that other people can see opportunity in coming to Ghana. So at the core of it, any business opportunity or relationship we build at the festival, be it with any of the partners that we've ever had, our key thing is we always have to build trust before we build anything else. So us being able to build that relationship with our customer and letting them know if you pay for this and you hop on a flight and you come to Ghana, you're going to get exactly what you pay for when we advertise to you. If you as a partner, you come in and you say, look, we told you X amount of people are going to be here. We told you these are the type of people that are going to be here. And these are the type of things that they're interested in. And this is the product. You can come here and you can make sure that you actually get that experience. So trust is at the very baseline of every agreement that we make with people when we decide to invite them to Ghana for our festival. Outside of that, I think something that we learned in the process is that, you know, there's a lot of education on both sides of the spectrum that needs to be had. And, you know, it's fair to say we wasn't equipped to be that educator. We just wanted to be able to open the door or open a window or create a bridge that people can just walk by, you know, across and from. And, you know, in that process, we learned that that's a part that we need to kind of update or educate or build around. So this year we introduced the Afro Expo so that we can influence dialogue. We opened up the music museum so we can, you know, open up the music a little bit so that you can have some body to it. You know, and then just more events that force interaction. You know, until we can be able to kind of really know each other, we really won't understand each other. And that's going to be a barrier. So I think that, you know, it's less about what we wish we could change, more so than how we're going to change it. Like, you know what I'm saying? How are we going to influence that change, or how are we going to accelerate it? Because I think it's going to happen regardless. It's about being the catalyst. And I think right now the festival is being a very big catalyst of that.
Yeah, and it's a testament even to this year. I saw that you lot partner up with some amazing brands. YouTube supported you guys. Fenty Beauty, that was huge. That was major. Well done on that. Like that shows the trust and the work that you guys are doing behind the scenes. And these things don't happen overnight. As I said, these are years of hard work and building strong relationships. And now you're seeing the fruits of its labor. And even the Nike collab, that was amazing. The Nike collab that you did for the sneakers. It's still available, right? People can still get it.
I mean, honestly, if you can find it, you might as well pick it up. If you can find it, don't slack on it, because like it's very hard to find right now. And I've been trying my best to get as many on my hands as possible.
Yeah.
But, you know,
but that's dope, man. That's dope. I love that. In fact, I was going to ask you a question. How do you, so one of the things as a business owner, sometimes when you're building a business, naturally, whether it's family or friends, everyone wants free tickets. Everyone wants free tickets. And you're trying to build a business. How do you deal with that? When people are reaching out to you for tickets, for free tickets, how do you manage that? And setting emotions, like you don't expect to go to someone else's, they would happen to go and pay for someone else's festival, but it's your own friend, they expect free. So how do you manage that?
Yo, man, it's very difficult. It's very, very difficult. It's something that I deal with. Every year you make new friends, so more people are looking for more free tickets. And some people are asking for tables, and I'm like, wow, you have to understand, I pay for this stuff. It's not free for me. So for me to be giving it to you, I'm losing that from my own personal bottom line. So, I mean, look, I think that I've gotten a little bit more comfortable with just being able to explain to people why I can't do it. There's always going to be people that you're going to have to take care of and make sure they're good. And when they come there, they can support. I'm more than happy to provide discounts. But I do appreciate those friends that's like, you know what, my friend is doing this and he's been holding it down all these years. This year I'm going to support in this way. I mean, there's always going to be that one family like, oh, you forgot me. You don't remember me no more. Now you got big, And I have to be cool with that. It's less about me than it's more about them, right? You know what I mean? So as long as I know that, at my core, I'm doing everything I can to make sure that, I'm living righteously towards my friends, towards my family. I'm cool. You know what I'm saying? I can't satisfy everybody. You're not going to be able to satisfy everybody.
You can't. And don't beat yourself up, because I've been through that. And it's tough because you just don't like say no, especially when you're a good person, you've got a good heart. Yeah. And that for me, so I always hope that my friends will be, you just think they would just take that initiative to be like, hey, I just want to support you, so you don't have to go through that awkwardness.
Exactly. You know what I mean? I think it's allow me to decide to give you, but don't give me a reason to say no to you, or don't put me in a position where I have to say no to you. I think that, you wish everybody had that common courtesy, but not everyone does. What's funny? Honestly, for me, it's a laugh relief when people don't have that shame, when they're cool with it. You know what? I'm gonna ask anyway. I know it's awkward, but I'm gonna ask. It's funny. It's actually a reliever. It's funny.
Okay. My next question for you is, as you know, things can go wrong with events, whether it's an artist not turning up, whether it's one of the technical issue, the sound goes off, or a vendor, something just happens. Can we dig into something that went completely left and you were like this was tough, and maybe there was a solution, or maybe there wasn't a solution? I would love for you to share experience that you're comfortable sharing. That went completely left, that people didn't know that.
There's so many things that go wrong.
That's
every single day that you're doing this every single time. And for us, it's been funny. We've faced something every single year, and it keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So some of the things that you found in year one that was so big, you find that year two, that's not so big. Things get bigger. And honestly and truly, in politics in America, they say there's an October surprise. We have one of those annually. There's always an October surprise for us. But then there's also minor things that happen throughout the years. I mean, I could tell you one. Say in 2019, we had an issue with the venue. So the venue that we use is managed by the military.
Yeah.
So the military has jurisdiction over that venue. So in that year, the guy who was in charge of that stadium didn't want to give it to us. He didn't want to give it to us. And I'm like,
after you booked it.
Yeah, we booked it. After we booked it, they didn't want to give it to us. So they confirmed they was going to give it to us, and they didn't want to give it to us. So we were like, all right, cool. We're going to keep, trying. So we started finding a backup just in case we wasn't able to get it. So, we had already committed and we had already advertised, because they had given us a letter that they committed the venue to us. So we escalated this, and they reluctantly gave it to us. But what they failed to tell us was that when you get this venue, you have to get permits from the airport, because it's very close to the airport. So they did that on purpose by not telling us, obviously, that we had to get a permit for the planes because they didn't want our lights to interfere with any planes landing. So there was a whole report about how, our festival lights can cause a plane crash. And, there have been a plane crash about 70 years ago.
Oh, God.
So, obviously, and this letter did not come to us until the day before Christmas Eve. And I believe that Christmas that year was on like a Wednesday or a Thursday.
Yeah.
We received the letter Monday. No, we received the letter Tuesday. So we had to figure out how to get this approved between New Year's Eve and the festival, which was happening the Friday. So literally, right as everybody's going on vacation. So they did that to really put us in a position where we had to move our event. We could not have it at the stadium. And, right now it takes us about 13 days to set up our festival field. So imagine, we couldn't even set up our fields 2 or 3 days before the festival. So that was crazy. So we ended up, stalking the Minister of Aviation outside of his office. We got lucky. He came into the office and he called an emergency meeting with all parties. I literally was in his office typing the letter of engagement on my cell phone so I could email it to his secretary so we can all sign in his office prior to us being able to throw this festival. So that was one time where it went down to the wire like that. And I promise you, it's gotten worse.
Bro, you know what I love about that? So I know it's scary and crazy. And when you probably look back now, you lot laugh at it because you're like, wow, we overcame that. Like, but in the time, you're like, people don't know what's going on. People are just traveling in. People are like, oh yeah, I'm going to. But you're just like, I have to figure this out. We have to find a solution.
Absolutely.
And that's it.
Absolutely. It gets crazy, man. One year we lost an entire plane that we paid for.
Pardon?
Yeah. So we paid for
the
plane. We reserved the airline with AWA. Oh, well, I shouldn't probably say their name, but whatever. AWA. We confronted them about it. We had rented out the plane for all of our artists from Nigeria to Accra. Maybe a week before the show, the airline cancels all of our flights.
Because, and the reason?
There's no adequate reason as to why they did it. Like, we haven't gotten we have our own theories that I'm not even going to explore right here, but
yeah.
I definitely feel like, it was sabotage. So literally, we had to go and find a charter plane. And I have these pictures and videos of us going to see this plane. It was a military plane because there was nothing available. Like, even if we wanted to buy individual tickets on airlines, there were no tickets available for us to fly people from Nigeria for our event. So we had to charter a plane. And there were too many people to fit on a private jet. So we had to go find a military plane. Literally, all of these artists are riders because they actually got on a military plane and came to Ghana. And shout out to World.
Amazing.
World is one of those artists. There's a real cool picture of him standing outside the airport with his head spread.
Amazing.
Because I'm still a part of the project planning and the outcome and dealing with some of the talent and dealing with some of their managers and the different partners, I'm still involved. So there are still stressors and I still have to participate. But I would say over the past 2 years, I've been able to kind of take myself out of the nitty gritty mix. We have amazing agencies that have been taking over Jam Jar. Shout out to them. They did a great job at managing our VIP, front back, has taken over our bars and our management on the field. We have an amazing operations manager. Her name is Akosua. She held it down, and my team has just grown, right? So everybody is kind of taking on their own departments and they're holding it down in a way where I don't have to worry too much. So the things that come to me are really the things that are emergencies, myself and my partner, Kenny. So, we still have stresses, but not as much. I definitely get to interact more because part of my job is to really get these partners to make sure they're having a good time. So, interacting and networking while the event is happening is a very important part of the business as well.
Amazing. So we're going to wrap up now because I know it's 30 minutes. What I do at the end of the show is I'm going to ask you a 1-minute rapid fire questions and you just have to give me 1-word answers or 1 sentence as quickly as possible. I'm going to ask you as many questions. Iris, can you time it? And the alarm will go off once we're done with 1 minute. So the goal is to get through as many questions as you can and answer it to your best of your ability.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So Iris, let me know when you're ready.
I'm ready.
Cool. So your first hire.
First fire?
Hire. The first person you hired ever. Like official role.
Kelvin Corte, TikTok.
Okay, amazing. Average daily sleep. Your average daily sleep.
At the beginning or now?
Now.
I'll say about 6 hours. 6 hours.
Okay, good. Favorite book?
The Celestine Prophecy.
Okay, cool. A influential person that supported you behind the scene, didn't expect anything or want anything from you that you want to shout out?
My sister, Aisha Abdullah.
Amazing. Your favorite business advice or quote, or something that you want to share?
Perpetual optimism is a force multiplier. Perpetual optimism is a force multiplier.
I love that. A startup myth.
Just do it.
The longest meeting you've ever had?
Oh, maybe about 8 hours.
8 hours? Oh my God, that's a lot. Okay, favorite entrepreneur?
Oh, we're done.
Oh, okay. Yeah, man. There's so many, man. I'll say my parents.
Amazing. But Abdul, this was a great chat, honestly. I loved it, honestly. I'm proud of everything you've achieved. I'm proud of the work that you're doing, honestly, the work that you're doing and your team to make a difference, not to only Ghana, but Africa as a whole. Honestly, it's amazing. I wish you nothing but success. I know every year is going to continue to be bigger and better. I'm hoping to hopefully come out this year. Let's see.
You got to pull up a girls trip, man.
Yeah. Well, yeah, by the way, I saw that, the girls trip. We should have talked about it. That was on my list of questions. I was like, I saw the news yesterday about the girls trips in Ghana. Have they recorded that yet?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're now recording. So it'll be probably soon, yeah.
Okay, cool, amazing. But yeah, so much great things is happening out there, and I love it. Is there anything you would like to share before we head out that you think is important?
Nah, man. I think you guys allow me to bring out a lot of things that I've been feeling that I haven't said in a long time. So thank you so much for
I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear that. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely, brother.